גבירותיי ורבותיי, מולי אוורבך.
When our lovely daughter was merely 2.5 years old, she started suffering from all sorts of infections. At first, we assumed that due to the winter time, it was just one of those things that kids pick up in kindergarten. However, when those infections kept returning, we realized it was different and we took her to see a specialist. When we sat with him in his clinic on a gloomy afternoon, he told us fairly simply that we had to make a choice. We could either take our daughter to surgery, or we could keep her on antibiotics for at least 5 more years. Choosing a lesser evil is not easy. My wife and I refused to accept the choices we were given. We read articles about the nature of her condition. We looked for alternative treatment. We traveled across the country, interviewing surgeons and pediatricians. But when a medical examination demonstrated to us that while we were looking for the lesser evil, a bigger evil was harming our daughter, we realized we had to make a decision. My wife and I sat together, we studied our options, and elected a surgeon and secured the date for the procedure. It was the end of spring, 2 months before her 3rd birthday, when we kissed her goodbye and listened very attentively to the surgeon who told us, "Don't worry, in just 90 minutes it will all be behind you." 3 hours later, when the operation was still ongoing and we couldn't see the surgeon anywhere, I wished we had chosen anything but surgery. But there are no undo buttons in life. My name is Muli. I'm a professional decision maker. And in the next 14 minutes, I will share with you my method for managing failures. A method that I believe was deployed by many others before me in their way to success. A method that can enable all of us to be as successful as Thomas Edison in professional decision making and in personal decision making. During the course of our lives, we are faced with many scenarios in which we need to take decisions. Decisions that can have an impact on our financial situation, our career choices, the lives of people around us. And in making those decisions, regardless of the method we employed, we are always faced with the consequences of what we did. For me, the capability to manage failures may be the most important life skill that no one taught us in school. When I recently Googled for decision-making under uncertainty, I found 2,040,000 results. 2 million. But this talk is not about how to take a decision. This talk is about the dark side of the decision-making process, making mistakes. We all know from our own experience that it's impossible to make only right choices, yet our attitude to failures does not reflect this. So I've got this capability, which enables me to lead a team of experts through medical uncertainty. It's a capability that's so important for me that I actually gave it a nickname. It's called Failureability. It's what gives me the power to lead a team of experts in seeking a medical solution for something which is at the moment uncurable. So why do I find this capability to be so important? Say we were tasked to form a basketball team. Will we recruit this player who, according to his own testament, lost hundreds of games, and in 26 of those games was tasked to take the winning shot for the game, and missed? Probably not. I would say we'd probably go for a legend like Michael Jordan. Would it surprise you to learn that it is Michael Jordan who says that he's missed more than 9,000 shots in his life, lost 300 games, and in 26 of those was tasked to take the game's winning shot and missed? Michael Jordan says, "I've failed over and over again in my life, and this is why I succeeded." So with Failureability, even when you miss 9,000 shots, you can still be a star. Thomas Edison is considered to be one of the greatest inventors of our time. He invented the light bulb, which transformed our lives so dramatically that it became a synonym of inventive thinking. But the process for finding the right materials for the bulb was paved with wrong decisions, with failures. Yet, when Thomas Edison described the process afterward, he says, "I have not failed. I merely found 10,000 ways that didn't work." So with Failureability, with the capability to move on after a wrong decision, you can actually become a huge success and transform life. Do you know that 4 centuries separate the French philosopher Blaise Pascal and the Israeli Nobel Prize laureates, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky? So 4 centuries of academic research into decision-making processes, and 4 centuries in which a lot of emphasis is placed on how to take a decision, and not enough emphasis is placed on how to deal with this. But we all know from our experience that just as much as death is an inevitable part of life, the wrong decision is part of the path to the right decision. But my Failureability enables me to lead multidisciplinary teams for more than 20 years. And it's got 3 simple steps: make, think, and the next step. The make is there to remind us that we have to make decisions. Think is there because we have to think about them thoroughly. And the next step is because there is always a next step. Let me expand a little more about those 3 steps of Failureability so we could all practice it together. Just imagine how much we can achieve if we are all like Thomas Edison. So the make is there to force us to make a decision, just like this medical examination forced my wife and I to make our own choices. We need to decide to decide. Just look at this 2x2 matrix, which has the actions for rows and the results for columns. It's quite possible to get lucky. You can decide not to do anything and yet get it right. On the other hand, if you decide to do nothing and the results of your action is that you've harmed somebody, can you justify this to yourself? Can you actually look yourself up in the mirror or come to a dear one and say, "I'm very sorry, I got unlucky"? I don't think so. We have to make decisions. And when we give it our best shot and miss, just like Michael Jordan did for 9,000 times, it's still possible to be a star if you're failurable. The next step in Failureability is to think. Failureability does not encourage us to fail. It talks about what do we do when we fail. And one of the ways to face our failures is through the knowledge that we invested everything we could in making our decisions. I'm asking each and every one of you right now to think about a decision you recently made and got it wrong. Focus on the time, the efforts, the resources you employed in making those decisions. Force yourself to recognize that you invested everything you could to take the right decision. This knowledge is not just comforting, it's critical to your Failureability. It's what distinguishes being human from being negligent. Just like Thomas Edison taught us, it's possible to be wrong 10,000 times and still change the world. Most decision-making theories stop at the decision-making. Failureability continues to the next step. In his poem If, the poet Rudyard Kipling provides a very long list of ifs, which also includes those ifs if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 impostors just the same, and continues to conclude, then yours is the earth and everything on it. I must confess, I am unable to treat success and failure alike. I am very happy when I'm successful. I'm very disappointed when I fail. But my Failureability enables me to move forward, to keep on taking the next decision. And that's the 3rd step, the next step. I bought my first skateboard when I was 40 years old. Like my wife put it, finally my brain matured to be 16. Unfortunately, my body was far more advanced. As you can imagine, you don't learn how to skateboard from reading a book. You have to get on the board and ride. You can also imagine I fail often. But each time I fail, I gain two things. The first, I improved my balance. The second, which is critical to failureability, I also learned how to fall. Each time I fell, my body improved the way it fell on the ground and hurt myself less. It's the same with failureability. Each time I make a mistake, I develop and improve my mental flexibility, which enables me to keep on making decisions. Just like I keep on riding the skateboard, as you can see in our garage. So, failureability is a 3-step process. You have to decide to make decisions, you have to think about your decision thoroughly because every decision matters, and always continue to the next step, right or wrong. And just like with any good recipe, there is also a secret ingredient. Just like Horace said, pulvus et umbros humos, which roughly translate into we are but shadows and dust. Just like we are wrong when we try to make the right decisions, sometimes we are wrong in the interpretation of our decisions. Sometimes we are wrong when we think we are wrong. Sometimes it can take us years to understand we made the wrong decisions. Sometimes minutes. Sometimes when you wait outside the operating room for your daughter's surgery to end, it looks like forever. But in fact, surgery was the right choice after all. Thank you very much. Yes.